Hi, my name's Danny Fleming of MA Properties. So what are accompanied showings all about? If you're a seller, which if you're watching these, I'm assuming you're thinking about being a seller. Um, there are some agents that say, I'm going to be able to sell your home. I will meet every buyer in the home and I'll tell them all about your home and I'll sell it for you. Yeah, that's because they don't do any marketing. And it's because they're an older agent who aren't really in tune with what the buyers want. So a buyer, a buyer, when they're working with a buyer's agent, um, the buyer's agent will make an appointment to get in to see your home. Um, well, first off, a buyer's agent makes an appointment to get into a home. And a large proportion of the time, the listing agent is not there. So the buyer's agent and the buyer have a great relationship. They're talking about the home, they go through the home. The buyer's agent can be explaining how this can meet the buyer's needs with this, this, and this, and you could do this. And, there's a free flow of conversation going backwards and forwards between the buyer's agent and the buyer. That's fantastic. The buyer feels comfortable in the home, um, and if we can get the buyer sitting down on a sofa or sitting at the kitchen table and just looking around and imagining themselves living in the home, that's golden. That's golden. That's when we get offers on homes, is when the buyer loves the home, they feel comfortable in the home, and they can imagine themselves living there. When the listing agent is there, the buyer doesn't know the listing agent. It stifles any conversation between the buyer and the buyer's agent, stifles the conversation stone dead, stone cold, stone cold. Um, it also means that the buyer can't ask questions about the home of their agent because the listing agent's there hovering around. When the listing agent's hovering around and in the home, the buyer's not feeling comfortable in the home. They're not. And so they leave as quickly as, as they can, if you like. And you might sort of think, well, who's telling the buyer's agent about the home and the benefits of the home and things like this? Yeah, we put all of that sort of stuff. We have it in the feature sheet. A good listing agent will provide that information digitally, for the buyer's agent to review and all of that. But they're not even going to review that unless they have a positive visceral feel when they walk in the door. And with a listing agent there, they won't have that positive visceral feel. A listing agent is not going to be able to convince a buyer to buy a home by being in the home and telling them all the wonderful things about your home. The buyers have to feel that first. If the buyer's agent has questions about the home or the area, they call the listing agent, they ask, they follow up with an email afterwards, things like that. It is such a negative having, oh, well, here you go. I was working with some buyers a while ago, a few years back. They had a lot of money to spend. Money wasn't any object whatsoever, but they had a couple of specific requirements of what they wanted in a home. And the listing agent met us at one of the homes. And within the first 3 or 4 minutes of being in the home, the listing agent had killed that home stone cold, stone cold. I don't know why I've started using that phrase, but the buyers basically, as soon as the listing agent told them some information about the home, I think she pointed out the gold filigree in the crown molding in the dining room. That wasn't who these buyers were. They were very unassuming, humble, down to earth, people who then told me after the showing, as soon as she pointed out that gold filigree, how could we honestly even think about having our 2 young children in the dining room throwing food on the floor with this gold filigree? This wasn't the house for us. Because the listing agent didn't know who the buyers were, didn't know what the buyers were interested in and what the buyers wanted in a home. That happens every single time a listing agent is in the home when a buyer's agent is showing it. The listing agent doesn't know the buyers. Or I've shown homes a few times, a lot of times, where the listing agent will guide the buyers through the home. You know, I even had one listing agent, no, come back this way, when the buyers were starting to head into the living room. Come back, no, it's better if you see the dining room first. So the buyers then, we had to then trail around following the listing agent. That's not how the buyers wanted to see the home. But some listing agents will walk into it, and this is the dining room. And this is the kitchen. And this is the bathroom. You know, anyway, accompanied showings are a bad idea. A lot of sellers have no idea that the reason their home isn't being shown as frequently as it could be is when the buyer's agent is trying to make an appointment, the listing agent can't meet them there at that time. Can't, you know, the buyer might be, the buyer's agents and the buyer might be available at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they try and make an appointment for 10 o'clock. And the agent sort of says, no, that doesn't work. Let's try 3 o'clock this afternoon, that afternoon instead. Well, the buyers can't make that time. And the buyers will sort of say, well, we'll see whenever else we can get in. And, you know, the home doesn't get shown. A lot of time it's the listing agent's calendar that prevents showings. How else do I say? Accompanied showings are a bad idea. Sometimes the listing agent will say that they can't make showing appointments, that, they can't meet them there and things like this. And no matter how many times the buyer's agent goes back to the listing agent to say, well, what about then 2 o'clock? No, that time doesn't work. Well, how about 4 o'clock? No, that time doesn't work. What about 11 o'clock or the next day? No, that time doesn't work. Hoping that the buyer's agent and the buyers will just give up trying to make a private showing, and they'll go to an open house instead. And then the listing agent is being naughty, and she'll try and convince the buyers that, well, you don't need your agent. You can write the offer with me. I'll get you a good deal. I'll talk to the sellers. I'll get them to take less. I can tell you lots of stories about all of this, as you can tell. It's one of my soapboxes, but it really is not getting the highest price for a seller. You should make the buyers should feel as welcome as possible and as comfortable as possible and as easy as possible to see your home. Exposure, and comfort, and feeling like they can imagine themselves in the home. That's what's going to get you the highest price for your home. Not having a listing agent there trying to sell the buyers, because it's not going to work. The buyers have to have that visceral feel, that positive visceral feel first, and they're not going to get it with the listing agent being in the home. I could tell you countless stories of many times that the listing agent has turned the buyers off buying a home. Anyway, look, if you'd like to talk more about this, you can obviously tell that it's a very interesting topic for me. But here's my contact info. If you want to chat more about it, then please reach out. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.